I got a younger brother, and you guys are twins, but
Backstage altercations in WWE aren't new. Tempers flare, egos clash, and rivalries spill beyond the ring. But what unfolded between World Heavyweight Champion Gunther and the Bloodline shocked not just the locker room, but the entire WWE universe. This wasn't just a fight. It was a statement, a power play, and the possible beginning of the most volatile feud in recent WWE history. It began on a seemingly routine episode of Monday Night Raw, but by the end of the night, it was clear. Nothing would ever be the same. Gunther's brutal message on Raw. It started with a scheduled singles match between Jey Uso, one half of the legendary Uso twins and proud member of the Bloodline, and Gunther, the man now recognized as the most dominant world heavyweight champion of the modern era. Jimmy came in with pride and purpose, but what unfolded in the ring wasn't a contest. It was a massacre. Gunther didn't just wrestle Jey Uso, he dismantled him. With the calculated brutality of a war general and the raw power of a machine, Gunther tore Jimmy apart. Every move felt deliberate. Thunderous chops echoed through the arena like cannon blasts, sending chills down the spines of fans. His strikes were sharp, slicing through defenses like a hot knife through butter. Jimmy, a battle-tested competitor who had faced legends and stood tall through family wars, looked overwhelmed, unprepared for the sheer ferocity of the Austrian juggernaut. Fans looked on in horror and awe as Jimmy crumbled, moment by moment, under the unrelenting onslaught. A barrage of elbows, power bombs, and precision holds painted the picture of a man on a mission, not to win, but to make a point. By the time the referee stepped in to end the bout, Jey Uso was left battered, bruised, and bloodied, needing medical attention as officials swarmed the ring. But Gunther didn't celebrate. He didn't even smirk. He simply stood tall, cold, and commanding, towering over the wreckage he had created. This wasn't about Jey Uso. This was about the Bloodline. This was about Roman Reigns. The backstage brawl. Gunther versus Jey Uso. The energy backstage after Gunther's dismantling of Jey Uso was unlike anything WWE had seen in recent months. The locker room was buzzing, but not in the typical post-match chatter. There was a palpable tension, a low rumble of unease that moved through corridors like static in the air before a storm. Whispers traveled fast. Jey Uso had been brutalized, and the man responsible wasn't just another challenger looking for a title shot. It was Gunther, the world heavyweight champion, and he had made it clear that this wasn't about gold. It was about domination. Superstars leaned against walls or peeked from doorways, waiting. Camera crews scrambled, sensing that something, or someone, was coming. They didn't have to wait long. Jey Uso stormed into view like a man possessed. The moment he arrived, the temperature in the building shifted. This wasn't just a brother defending his twin. This was a battle-hardened warrior protecting what was left of his fractured family. His eyes were wild with rage. His voice cracked not just with anger, but hurt. Jey didn't hesitate. He found Gunther in the hallway, standing calmly like he hadn't just left the ring strewn with wreckage. Gunther barely flinched as Jey got in his face. Heated words were exchanged, threats, accusations, warnings, but the verbal spat lasted mere seconds. Then it erupted. Jey swung first, a sharp right that caught Gunther off guard. The brawl that followed was pure chaos. Gunther responded with that same ruthless efficiency he shows in the ring, but Jey was fighting with something deeper: heart, emotion, and desperation. Fists flew wildly. Gunther shoved Jey into a stack of crates. Jey responded by slamming a steel chair across Gunther's back. The sound rang out like thunder backstage, drawing a crowd instantly. Security rushed in, but they couldn't get control. Superstars from both Raw and SmackDown joined the fray to try and separate them. For a moment, it looked like a full-scale locker room riot. This wasn't your typical backstage pull-apart. This was a war zone. When they were finally separated, Gunther didn't scream or shout. He calmly adjusted the strap of his championship, brushing dust off his shoulders. Then, in a moment that sent chills down the spines of fans and personnel alike, he turned to the nearest camera and delivered a statement with cold precision. A clash of titans. Roman Reigns versus Gunther. To truly grasp what this means, you have to understand who these men are. On one side, you have Roman Reigns, the tribal chief, the man who has ruled WWE with an iron fist for over 3 years. Since returning in 2020 and aligning with Paul Heyman, Reigns has evolved into a larger-than-life force. He's not just a wrestler. He's a movement. Under his leadership, the Bloodline became the most powerful faction in modern WWE history. He didn't just win matches. He manipulated outcomes, turned friends into enemies, and rewrote legacies. Every entrance, every promo, every stare, Roman commands the room. His matches are psychological chess games, and most opponents are already defeated before the first lockup. But now he faces something different, something dangerous. Gunther, the ring general, forged his legacy not through family or politics, but through discipline, structure, and domination. His record-setting Intercontinental title reign was built on grit and pain, not smoke and mirrors. Opponents didn't just lose to Gunther. They were systematically broken down, piece by piece. He made technical violence into an art form. Now, as World Heavyweight Champion, Gunther sits at the top of Raw. But he's not content. He's done with defending turf. He's stepping into the lion's den, eyeing the biggest prize in wrestling history: the destruction of the Bloodline and the deconstruction of Roman Reigns himself. The fracturing of the Bloodline. And Roman? For the first time in years, he may be vulnerable. The once unstoppable Bloodline is crumbling. Long gone are the days of unified dominance. It started with doubt, betrayal, and rebellion. Jey Uso walked away, Jimmy turned, and even Solo Sikoa, the once silent enforcer, has begun to show signs of independence. Now, with Gunther attacking from the outside and the Bloodline's foundation shaken from within, the dynasty feels fragile. Paul Heyman can only hold so many strings before the marionettes fall. Even the presence of Solo, lurking in the shadows, is no longer a source of security. It's a wild card. Gunther, ever the tactician, saw the cracks and drove a wedge right into them. He started with Jimmy, physically breaking the brotherhood. He drew out Jey, emotionally igniting the internal fire. And now he's calling for Roman, daring the head of the table to confront him. He's not just attacking from the front. He's unraveling them from the inside. This is no longer just a fight. It's a campaign. What comes next? The WWE Universe is watching with bated breath. Roman Reigns has yet to respond publicly, but silence from the tribal chief is rarely without meaning. Behind the scenes, it's been reported that he is watching closely, and when Roman moves, he moves with intent. But here's the twist. Gunther isn't intimidated. In fact, he's baiting the lion, knowing that when Roman steps forward, it will be on Gunther's terms. And so we stand at the edge of something monumental. Not just a feud, but a collision course between two titans who couldn't be more different in their rise, their rules, or their purpose. Why this feud is different. Most of Roman's opponents played it safe. They politicked. They tiptoed. They waited for their moment. But Gunther? He's marching right into enemy territory with no fear, no allies, and no hesitation. He doesn't respect legacy. He doesn't play the game. He doesn't see the Bloodline as untouchable. He sees them as targets. The WWE Universe Reacts fans are divided. Social media is ablaze with debate. Some are hailing Gunther as the future, the man who has the guts and the grit to finally dethrone the tribal chief. Others warn that Reigns has been underestimated before, only to come back more cunning and powerful than ever. When worlds collide, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, or beyond, with whispers of a showdown swirling, speculation has begun. Will this epic confrontation happen at SummerSlam? Will WWE hold off until Survivor Series, pitting faction against faction? Or will this clash of titans be saved for the grandest stage of them all? WrestleMania? The final word. There's no turning back. Gunther didn't come to send a message. He came to change history. He's already shed blood. He's already issued his challenge. And with each passing moment, the pressure on Roman Reigns builds. The silence from the tribal chief says more than words ever could. He's watching, waiting, preparing. But when he finally steps forward to answer Gunther's call, WWE will witness a collision of legacies that will define this generation.